Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Season 4, Episode 2 of the Rink Moose Hockey Podcast, a weekly episodic podcast, bi-weekly episodic podcast where two, sometimes three good friends get around a table and discuss all things NHL and their implications in the fantasy hockey universe. I am one of your hosts, as always, Nick Costu, joined alongside in that hideous red jersey,
You're such
Kyle Nice. How are you doing this evening in the new studio, the Rink Moose studio here downtown Toronto?
My goodness, I was just about to ask you, is this the new studio? Is this like the spot?
Well, we got multiple studios in this building. So this is
Right.
Studio A, and then we got
Studio
Studio
A,
B
Studio
downstairs. So
And then headquarters is what, at your North York
HQ's in
place?
North York, yeah. I mean, it was in Markham,
know,
but
and
now,
now it's dead.
we've been
My-
kicked out, right?
My fault, everybody. My fault.
Yeah, we've been kicked out of Kyle's home, so
Yeah.
no more the nice studio.
Those days are
We're
gone.
finally on video today.
Yeah.
The
Hi,
fans
folks.
can see us, and it's a shame. Like, if there was one episode to get on video, it would have been in that nice little basement of yours.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
we don't have it.
Yeah, we don't have it. But yeah, I don't know what exactly is the plan with the whole video thing, but we're hopefully going to get some good clips for you guys. The highlights of the show. We're not going to post fucking 2-hour long videos, obviously, but we'll see what comes of it, and we're excited.
And with that said, I introduce in the hot seat this week. Fans have been waiting. They've been clamoring.
Yeah.
Tonight is our annual fantasy hockey show, and so we had to bring aboard Joshua Schechter. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well, boys. Thanks for having me.
I don't even know how to follow that up. No, I mean, hey, it's good to have you. I mean, I don't know when the last time you were on the show was, but yeah, we have to invite you for our fantasy episode. We just had our draft a few days ago, and so yeah, I mean, where do you want to start?
Well, here's where I want to start is Josh really the fantasy guru that we need here?
You made the finals last year.
Yes, that's true. On the backs of my players that he paid a king's ransom to get. We need to know, is Josh still running that questionable strategy this year?
Well, I'm not sure if your viewers are aware of what the strategy is, so maybe I'll explain it.
Loyal as hell.
Well, for those unloyal fans who are just tuning in for the first time, you're in for quite a treat because what I'm about to divulge is quite possibly the most top secret piece of information.
And if I may interrupt, we can finally give away our strategies here, because a year ago we couldn't talk about this stuff. We had our draft within a few days, and so we held the cards close to our chest. Today, the floodgates are open, so please feel free to say whatever you want.
It all boils down to 6 versus 4. And that is how I look at this game.
Oh my god.
We play in a category league with 10 categories. You only need 5 to win. Or in most cases, you only need 5 to win. As I found out in the finals, you need more than 5 to win.
Oh boy.
And we'll get to that later.
Oh my god, that's true.
However, the strategy is simple. You load up on goalie. You win that every week. And then you hammer shots and hits, because those are the only stats that really matter.
I think you're more getting at those are the stats that people don't care as much about, and you can snipe all the good talent is where you get. And plus, like, I mean, goalies are. I'll concede you this. Goalies are, first of all, very unpredictable, which is the shaky legs of the whole foundation. But taking a little bit from your strategy, I've never gone harder on goalies than I have this year.
Oh yeah.
I thought, you know what, I've got draft capital up top. I'm not necessarily in love with the players from 4 to 9 range round wise. So why not load up on a consistency, on a goalie category?
Yeah, looking at your draft, I mean, wow. Securing the Islanders tandem, huge. Yep. Connor Hellebuck, goalie number 4, huge. I mean, the depth you have, you'll definitely compete this year after what most people will say is a disappointing finish. Do we want to rehash the moments before the playoffs where not only did I pull off a come from behind win, being down 8-2 to secure my playoff berth, but then also make a run to the finals, only to lose on an asterisk, which was higher seed.
And all that is true, ladies and gentlemen. There was a lot of draft picks moving around. Josh played his hand really well. He seemed to get the crop that was the cream of the crop. Basically, I traded away a lot of guys. For a 4th rounder, Josh got Patrick Kane. For a 4th rounder, some other guy got Pavel Buchnevich. What is the difference there, right? Like, Josh played it right to the very end. He did really well with it. Got to the finals, or you got to the finals, and I think you lost on a tie. Is that right?
I lost on a Cal Clutterbuck healthy scratch.
Wow.
No way. So, and my biggest surprise, I saw this and I knew Josh lost at that time. And my biggest surprise was I cannot believe Josh didn't go to this guy to my left and raise hell about how fucked up that rule is. Like, it's just such a crazy tiebreak. It's a terrible way to lose. Just a terrible way to lose. And I'll tell you what, we had Matt Moopsy over here in the studio a couple days ago. And he was just still to this day rubbing it. He's like, I can't believe I won on that fucking tie. That's what he said. Can you believe that? And then he continued to snipe your draft all night long.
Oh, did he ever? I mean,
Fellow George Brown alum, by the way.
Let's just get into the draft. I think it's about time because he sniped me. We had the draft order. I was 9th pick. He was 10th, which means he was on the turn. And every time I had 2 players I wanted, at least one of them got picked up by Moops on that swing. And now his team looks almost identical to what I would have drafted. And it's extremely frustrating to look at his team and know that could have been mine.
Right. Well, if that is where you want to start things off, do you want to get into the keepers?
Yeah, so just to give everyone some context, listen, we're not going into the top 3 on each position, sleepers, busts.
That's played out.
Let's play it out. It's going to take too long. This is going to be loosey-goosey. We're just going to give you guys what happened in our draft, and hopefully we get into some little discussions along the way about, a little more organically as to who we like and who we dislike this season, who went too high, who went too low, stuff like that. So I think, what better way to get into it than to just set the scene. We had 3 keepers. First time ever we did 3 keepers in our league.
That was a vote just 1 week prior.
And there were some. Were there any surprises among the keepers? So it's a 10-man league, 3 keepers apiece. So 30 guys got kept. So lots of different strategies.
Yeah.
We had guys picking the first rounders. The Matthews, the McDavids, the McKinnon. Sure.
Yeah.
We had guys picking Zach Hyman.
Yeah.
We had guys picking Drew Doughty. There were some head scratchers. We had a
that
guy.
One was a bit weird.
He went Hyman over Marner, right?
Right, which we can get into because not everyone runs a keeper league like this. Just to be clear, in our keeper league, where a player is drafted is where we keep that player. So, for example, if I drafted Sagan 15th, I'm going to be keeping him with my 15th pick. Not everyone does it that way. I think it adds a lot of value. We got into a discussion about this in our group chat. It just adds a bit more of a managerial kind of sway to things. So the Zach Hyman pick, Zach Hyman was taken in like the last round of the draft. And I think he's going to be a 60 to 70 point guy. And there's value in that big time over maybe a first round Marner. I think there's definitely something to be said about that. And plus, let's be honest, the guy who did that had the first overall pick that year or this year. So he had free reign to choose whoever he wanted. He essentially traded Marner for Marchand.
Yeah, exactly. And as a perfect example to what you're saying, like I could have kept, a Brad Marchand. I could have kept a Mika Zibanejad. These are all great players, but the reality is I took them high in the draft.
Joe needs to listen to this.
It would have really hurt me. So I decided, okay, I'm going to keep I'm all about value. So I'm going to keep guys I took later into the draft, maybe not as talented as those guys I just mentioned, but still very good players. So I kept Kirill Kaprizov in round 17 because he was a fresh face last year. No one wanted him, right? So now I have him in the 17th round every year.
Who drafted him again?
Michael Robson. 17th round. Or you and then he went to Michael, and then Michael dropped him. So Kaprizov went through 3 teams to get to me.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I have a question about your Zibanejad pick. Do you regret not keeping him, knowing that you could have had him in the second round?
Well, I did draft him, right?
With your first round pick.
With my first. Oh yeah. So I guess you're saying I could have just.
Hindsight being 2020.
Did I? Is that where he would have went second round?
Would you have? Yeah. Would you have kept him in the second round and instead gone for someone?
No, but I don't want Mika Zibanejad being my annual guy I come every year back with in the second round. I don't think that's value. I think Robin Lehner in the 13th, Kyle Connor in the 15th, and Kirill Kaprizov in the 17th is like annual value. You can keep coming back to the draft table with those guys for the next 3 years and probably have a good draft, you know? I mean, yeah, Connor and Kaprizov are going to stay great. Lehner will probably phase out, but he's probably got a 2-3 year window left, you know?
But just looking at the player pool that was available in the first round, it's not anything that people at home would think of in a traditional first round. Brad Marchand going first overall. When you have keepers, there's the understanding that value is important, but also having that elite player, which whether you take him in the first round or you take him or you keep him in the first round, I think having that option with the elite player over a solid player you can keep later, you got to weigh those options. So
I still knew there'd be stars in this draft. Like, let's not be mistaken. My first 2 picks, I got Crosby and Zibanejad. Like, by all accounts, those are stars in this league. And I know the first 3 players, Marchand, Marner, Kane, those are annual guys going in the first round. So let's not be mistaken here. I mean, Victor Hedman was still on the board. Like, there were some high names still here to be picked.
Yeah, and I think there's 2 ends of the spectrum here, and I tend to sway on the side of Nick's way of thinking, in that I think you have to be a very special talent to warrant a first round keep. In particular, second, third round, I can make an argument, but in my mind, there's only 4 or 5 special elite players that I would ever keep in the first round. Those being the McDavids, the McKinnons, the Draisaitl's, the Kucherovs of the world. If it's not one of those guys, I like going back into the well to pick a player of my choice. Because let's be honest, Marchand could be a 100-point guy. He could be higher value than a Rantanen who was kept this year. It's very possible, and I like to have that flexibility up in the front of the draft, especially if you do the due diligence like you did. Like, you got your I don't know how you fucking got Connor in where you did. It pisses me off. I forget what happened. I don't know if this is some of your commissioner stuff. When did you draft him? What year?
2 years, whenever we started doing this. Somehow that guy went in the 13th round.
Pissed me off. Anyways, so yeah, Nick's got the 2 great contrasting examples, because you got great value in the back end of the draft, and then Josh, I'd say, has good value in the front end with your Vasilevskis, your Ovechkins, and your Brady Tkachuk. So why don't you tell us about why you decided to take those 3 players?
Well, it's a very simple reason, and it has to do with the way I build my team. When you only focus on shots and hits from a player perspective, it limits the amount of players that you would consider in those picks. So having Ovechkin on my team from last year meant that it was a no-brainer to keep him at number 9 overall, knowing that he would have gone ahead of where I would be drafting. There was some consideration in keeping Sorokin in, I believe, the 14th round.
Pretty good.
But at the end of the day, keeping a tandem goalie when I have Vasilevsky, it didn't make any sense. So I read the room. I saw that there was some significant goalie depth still available, and I felt confident in keeping Ovechkin over him.
You know what, though? I agree. Like, it definitely molds to your strategy. But I will admit, knowing you as the guy who puts goaltending first, that's the first thing you said when you sat down today. You said, I put goaltending first. Yep. I got to admit, I look at your team, and we can take shots at each other now that the draft's all said and done. I don't see the same goaltending strength I saw last year. You had part of the Islander tandem last year. You had Vasilevsky, and who was your third goalie last year?
I had 2.
That's fantastic. That's a fantastic 3. I don't see the same strength in Cal Peterson and UC Saros as Rask and Sorokin. I just don't.
No, and you're completely right. I don't look at my team the same way as I did last year. there's a lot of things have to bounce right. I'm banking on a strong comeback from Nashville defensively, which we didn't see last year. And, Cal Peterson is just another shot in the dark that I hope to keep next year with a 15th round pick.
Just bad team right now. You hope they become a good team.
They'll be better, though. They'll be better.
They'll be better defensively. But
Quick's still going to as long as Quick's there, he's still getting some starts. Like as long as take it from the Kings fan, like it's the loyalty card, right? Like they clearly know who the better goalie there is. They know who to play if you're going to win a game. But as long as Quick's there and healthy, he's going to munch up at least 40% of the starts.
As my third goalie, I don't need him to play more than 60%. And as we saw with the Rangers, loyalty doesn't mean very much these days. With King Henrik being passed over for two goalies, I mean, that tandem that became a trio didn't work. None of the goalies were able to get into a rhythm, and eventually it was the old guy, King Henrik, unfortunately, who had to bite the bullet and rode pine for the season.
Yeah, no, that's well said. And then just to move on here, Kyle, you went with Cale Makar, Tyler Seguin, Alexis Lafreniere. So far from the best, keepers on the board.
Yeah, on paper.
But you had the most draft capital to use because you probably traded your best players last year.
Correct. And to be honest, guys, I didn't expect to be keeping three players. Like I had locked in Makar and Laffy, and I didn't expect a third. So I didn't build that into my strategy.
But even so, Alexis Lafreniere, even if it was just the two, he'd still go down as the worst keeper. As of right now, today, he's the worst keeper on the board.
He's an investment.
Right? Like
this is an investment.
In my rankings, he's like 300. Yeah, he's the 300th player in the rankings.
Those rankings
and you have him in the 6th round.
Round. So first of all, he's actually an 8th round keeper, but I traded away my 8th pick, so he fucking moved up to the 7th. So that was an undersight on my part. So he's an 8th round keeper who I hope one day, and I'm confident that he'll be more like a 2nd round value eventually. That's what I'm banking on. So that's in my investment pick. It's a passion pick. I admit that's where my weakness is. I have the jersey. I love the player. It has to happen. Makar's an easy one in the 10th round. I invested in Makar in his rookie year, so I'm lucky to have him. And then Seguin was just someone I looked at my roster. I had junk left as a keeper value, and I'm like, the 15th round, he's going to get shots. He's going to get 25, 30 goals. I'm okay with that. It doesn't move the needle by any means, but I'm okay with it.
I think Laffy is an interesting pick because, to your point, he has the potential to be that 2nd round or even 1st round guy. But do you think it will happen this year?
I don't. I think my expectation is about 60 points this year.
Do you think that you might have overdrafted him last year in the 8th round?
See, Nick drafted him.
Do you think
he did that to spite me?
Do you think so exactly. So he overdrafted him to spite you, and you took the bait by keeping him not even at the round he was drafted, but you went a round further and are keeping him in a 7th round pick.
Correct.
When we look across the board at the 7th round, you could have had players that would contribute to your team.
You know what the problem is here, Josh? And I'll tell you what the problem is. I'll tell you what the problem here is, Josh. I would totally have left the player off my keeper list and taken him in the 10th or 11th, but I know this vulture sitting to my left would have taken him in the 9th right before me, because that's the kind of shit he would pull, and you would.
I needed him last year.
I know.
And it blew up in my face.
You took him in the 6th round, and I wanted him in the 7th.
Yeah.
And I know I'm just not safe to not keep him because you still lurk around.
Well, no, I mean I dropped him. I dropped him last year, and no one else placed. I mean, no one else.
I had him
placed a
on.
waiver
I had a
claim.
waiver claim.
Yeah, no one else placed a waiver
But
claim.
he was
for a
about
reason.
to wake up at 3 a.m.
Yeah, the 3 a.m. alarm going, the classic 3 a.m.
With the
alarm.
girlfriend. Fucking shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that should. Yeah, that segues nicely to your team, Kyle.
Sure.
Let's break down our teams here, and then we'll get into the draft.
So who wants to go first?
Well, I think it just makes sense. We're talking about your keepers. Yeah, usually I can pick your team apart pretty good, but Rightfully so. It looks pretty good because you had like I said, you had the most advantageous draft capital to use, and there's.
I don't know. So
it's good enough. Like the center is such a deep position.
Yeah.
You don't. Oh, I know. But looking top to bottom, his team, you can't really find a flaw. Usually, Kyle's flaw is goaltending. He has shitty goaltending, and it blows up in his face. But he secured the Islanders goalies, and then he's gonna have a workhorse in Connor Hellebuyck. Say what you want about his splits and how many goals the Jets allow this year,
right?
But he's still gonna play as many.
Much easier division this year, then.
Sure.
Well, the Central's never an easy division, right?
It's going to be a lower scoring than the North, though.
Isn't the division being pegged as the easy division in the NHL?
Oh, that's the Pacific, I think.
The Pacific's the easy division, my friend. But even so, this whole discourse about divisions, I don't buy into it as much this year because you're still playing every other team, right? Like, you're playing your divisional games. You're still going to play the teams in your division a little more than every team. But it's not like last year where I only drafted Pacific goalies because I wanted to play the California teams every night or Calgary, you know? So, yeah, it's a bit of a different story there, but I don't know. I like your goalies and your team's solid. No flaws.
Right. So, yeah, this was a total and you know what's interesting? It's a total departure from what I'm used to. And part of that is because all the pundits and all the experts and all the other podcasts and YouTube channels, they always say goalies are voodoo. Don't take them near the top of the draft. But I'm like, come on, man. Like, you can't get good goalies unless you spring for them early. Like, I looked at Hellebuyck and I'm like, I'm going to have to get a goalie early. I was looking at Kemper, if I'm honest, but I think Someone took him before Mitch took him like second round, which I thought was crazy. Mm-hmm. So then I jumped on the next best guy who could be a better guy. And then I thought, you know what? I'm looking at Michael with the turnaround. He had picks 10 and then the first of the next round. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't think Michael's going to pick up Varley if I pick up Sorokin. So I got Sorokin and I'm like, no, sorry, I got Varley first. And then I was like, you know what? Goalies are voodoo, but the Islanders are consistent and no one can really argue that. Both of these goalies are going to get a 920. I'm going to get every single Islanders game. I'm going to have a goalie playing. So I'm really happy with that. And you know what's crazy? I don't really like this team that I've picked here. Like these players don't jump off the board for me. John Carlson is not my type of guy. Mitch Marner is not my type of guy.
No.
Pettersson is not my type of guy. But I went with just a safe, full value picks up in the top of the draft, and then at the bottom I went with some good some guys who are likely a good shot to pan out. Who knows? Patrick Laine could get 25-30 goals. That's all I want from him. A Connor Garland in a plum situation in Vancouver. If he got a 65-point pace in fucking Arizona, what can he do in Vancouver? Nico Hischier is ready to break out. I really believe that. And that New Jersey team is on the cusp of something. And it just feels like his time. And Pool Party's playing with McDavid. So let's just see what happens there.
Looking at your team, I like it. I think it's like top to bottom. It's competitive. The only thing I'm worried about in a 10-team league is every team has players. And what you need to do when every team is good is do something different. And I don't know if you did something different enough to stand out from the pack. Mm-hmm. Going goalies early is a good strategy, taken from the book of Josh. And, it was beneficial for me. But you also have to pick the right goalies. And the difference between, a Vasilevsky and a Hellebuyck is palpable. And I think, you'll put up points. There's no question about it. You have scoring throughout your lineup, and you'll compete in that sense. But to your point, the goalies, are we trusting that the Islanders have the same defensive year that they did last year? I mean, it's always the debate about the Islanders. Can they do it again?
Well, I know. I mean, I think we've seen this script long enough. I mean, they bring it back every year. They do the same goddamn thing every year. They're one of the most annoying teams to play in the league. I'd bet that holds up. But again, I don't know. I never really like owning a tandem. I like owning 3 goalies who play quite a bit because I want more starts. And maybe the Islanders have a week where they only have 2 games, that whole week, or maybe it's their bye week. Then he's fucked, So I don't like putting my all. It's a good point. Like, I believe in the Islanders, but if the team does flub up, well, then that's 66% of your goaltending out the fucking window. As opposed to if you get 3 goalies like I did, I went with 3 different goalies, 3 different teams, 3 different divisions. I'm throwing my darts at the dartboard, hoping 2 of the 3 pan out.
Let's talk about your goalies because one of them has been in the news quite a lot recently.
Well, hey, I mean that's the yeah. Well, it depends. I thought you were talking about Binner, but yeah, you're right. It's Leonard. Do we even want to go into that? I thought this would be the fantasy episode, but Kyle, I mean, you were the one tweeting, you were the one messaging us all weekend about these tweets.
We should give a quick word. It's just such big news.
I was looking at it. Is this going to affect his ability to play?
Right.
Being so outspoken.
Right.
And I mean, luckily the NHL has responded well to him, and it seems like there's positive talks come out of it. Yeah. But you hear that online, and you immediately fear the worst for the player because oftentimes when players are that outspoken, it can be seen as a distraction. Organizations don't want distractions.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a guy who's very hard to shut up. Like, he's been through so much. He's built a lot of clout through the things he's written and the things he said, and he's got a lot of players who have his back. I don't really see, that being an issue. I don't see the league silencing him, so to speak. And they have no backup this year, right? I mean, at least last year he didn't play a lot last year. He really didn't play very much in the regular season. It was Fleury's Vezina, right? And this year's going to be interesting for him because he's got to be a workhorse again, and he hasn't had to be a workhorse since Buffalo years ago, right?
Right.
So it's a great team, but he's behind. But he's going to have to shoulder a lot of the load, and that's why I kept him, and I'm hoping it pays off. So, yeah, I guess it's a good segue to my team. I've Leonard is my best goalie. Freddie Anderson I'd probably call my second best goalie. I've always been a Freddie.
Sketchy. Very sketchy.
I think it's a swing or it's a home run or a fucking strikeout. It can go really horribly or it can go really, really well.
I think playing in a smaller market will suit him. He's a head case. He couldn't handle the Toronto Heat, and we saw what he did in Anaheim, where there's no spotlight on him, and he was one of the best goalies in the league.
And this team he's playing behind is incredible in Carolina, right? The defense.
They'll definitely put up enough points to win some games, but I agree with Kyle. I'm not sure if the defense is as solid as you think, and especially with the big red flag on the first pairing.
Yeah, seriously, I honestly, without even being spiteful about the KK situation and all that, I think Carolina has taken a step back, a sizable step back with the personnel they brought in. The shenanigans with KK, the whole Tony fucking D'Angelo thing, Dougie Hamilton's gone. It's a step back, and honestly, I don't like Freddie. It might be an age thing, it might be an injury thing. He's had tons of injuries. Like, this is a very rocky, just very dicey pick. Very dicey in the fourth.
I'm
Boomer bust.
I won't deny the point at which I took him at. Like, that is relatively high, but I don't know. I knew he was going to go soon, and I knew what his ADP was. And I usually go for the safer goalies. But you're right. This is boom or bust. I mean, I took him before your Islander guys, right? Like, I took him.
You actually went back-to-back Leafs. You went Riley and then. Oh, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess Anderson's not a Leaf anymore.
I needed.
In the app, he's still wearing a Leaf
I needed a defenseman, like a one defenseman, and I know historically guys in contract years perform. And the Leafs are going to do everything they can to put him out there. Sandin's not taking over just yet. And I think he's going to perform this year. He's going to stay healthy because he has no choice but to perform and stay healthy if he wants to get paid. And we've seen guys time and time again perform in their contract years. So that's why I took him. And then Franius right after. I know Kyle took his Islander guys right after. But I could have just fuck Riley, fuck Anderson, and taken both Islander guys. But no, I didn't want that. And I'm happy with my team. I think it's more well-rounded. And yeah.
I feel like Mark Stone is a player that you target a lot. I think
Yeah.
you had him last.
That was the happiest moment of the draft. The second I got Mark Stone in that third round, I didn't think he was going to drop. I thought someone was going to take him. I knew someone was going to take him, and he happened to drop to me, and I knew.
Where did you have him in your rankings? Because I don't think I had him in the third round.
Mark Stone was like a top 10 fantasy player last year. He was incredible. He had an incredible year in Vegas. He was like the most quiet story last year. No one follows what he does in Vegas. He had an incredible year. I tried to pry him from Michael all year. I finally did at the deadline, and he did great for me in the playoffs. And I was so happy.
1.78 shots per game, 0.56 hits per game.
Yeah, he's not. He doesn't fit your model, but I'll tell you what.
I had him ranked 317th.
Okay, that's great.
You know what, Nick? For a guy that doesn't produce any peripherals whatsoever, and a guy who showed up so poorly in the playoffs, whose reputation has taken such a hit,
No.
I don't know why you have this guy circled so high.
This guy's fantastic.
I moved him way down my board. I would have taken Kevin Fiala over this guy.
He's going to be great. I followed him all. You don't watch Vegas.
No,
you don't
I
see the
don't.
things he does.
No, you're right.
He's an MVP caliber player, and
right.
he can put up 90 points easily. Easily.
And Pacioretty is not a good.
Someone's
pick
got
this year.
that team's arguably the best team in the league. Someone's got to score. Someone's got to roll the power play. Someone's got to,
They're getting rolled. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep it up.
Them and Carolina, I think, are the
they're going to be
backsteppers.
they're going to be fantastic. I know they're old. They're not like in 3 years from now. I don't think things are going to be too great there in Vegas. But I think right now they're well aware this is their moment. They re-signed Martinez. They're in total win now mode. They traded Cody Glass. Like they don't care about prospects. They traded Suzuki. They traded Cody Glass. They traded Brandstrom. It's all about now. And I think they have the best team in the league now. And
does that
Mark
concern
Stone,
you when you look at that and say, what if we get out to a slow start and they have to start selling players because
They're not, man. They're not going to get it. I'll bet you my mortgage they're not going to get off to a slow start.
they got off to a slow start last year, didn't they?
They're in the weakest division in the league, right?
That's true.
in the weakest division last year as well.
And they still finished great.
But they got off to a
They won the President's Trophy.
No, Colorado did.
Okay, like they were a point behind Colorado.
Fine.
Like I don't care. The slow start, they still like almost won the President's Trophy.
They're gonna be a good team.
They're gonna be great,
a top
and
7
he's
team.
he's the straw that stirs the drink. There, he is Nathan
right.
McKinnon of Vegas.
Oh.
I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying they play the same role. They're the captain.
Are you worried that he might take on the new Captain Canada role and only think about the Olympics up until that happens?
No,
It'll be his first opportunity.
Just for context, there a good point there. I in my rankings and my thought processes, I was targeting guys who had Olympic hopes, guys who would want to play up to a higher standard to show up for the Olympic team. Scheifele was a guy I really wanted to target, but fucking Joe kept him. Fucking son of a bitch. But I think guys like Barzal are going to have a great year. Marner's going to step it up maybe. Barzal's going to make the team. He'll make the team.
Over Tavares?
Yes, absolutely. Tavares, I wouldn't have Tavares anywhere near this team, this Olympic team.
And, say what you want about, me losing out on the hits and the shots. I know I'll still make up for it with, Mika Zibanejad will shoot. Connor will shoot. Toffoli will shoot.
Those are busting balls on the shots. Cause
no, I agree. Hey, I know.
My team is drafted to win those categories. If I lose them, it's because you had an amazing week. Like a lot of averages would say that I'm going to win those every week. And if you look back in last season, I did, with the exception of maybe the week that I lost in the finals.
Right. And again, like I even took a card out of your book. Like I went with some hit guys.
I know you fucked me with Hornquist and Tom Wilson.
I know those are guys that you value, and I go ahead.
That's why I was willing to trade my early round picks, because I don't value the guys at the top of the
right.
draft. When you look at my team and you see I drafted, I think, was it Marchessault in like the 5th round or 6th round?
Sure,
like,
that was high.
It was high. He was like 120th
But you love him,
in Yahoo, but he shoots the puck a shit ton.
Absolutely.
The middle round is where I find my value, because that's where the guys who hit and the guys who shoot, they live. I had 2 9s. I think I had 2 10ths. 2 9s and 2 12s, sorry. And I feasted in those areas.
And I realized, hey, listen, I need like I put my Brian Burke cap on and I said I need some sandpaper. You know, I can't just have the Kaprizov and the Connors, Zibanejad, Crosby, Stone. I need some sandpaper here. So I went out there and I got Hornqvist, I got Tom Wilson, and then today I even picked up Brandon Tanev because I know how much Kyle loved him last year.
He's a great player.
I know what, and even like Petrie was a surprise, really good multi-cat guy last year. Yeah. So like, I don't know. I feel like I diversified around there, and I'll be just fine.
You're pissed. You saw that Leafs game where he had like 9 hits, and I knew it. I tuned in for 5 minutes to that Leafs game, and all I saw was a highlight of Batherson just smoking guys 9 hits. I'm like, Josh is gonna be just jerking to this, and I'm gonna take him tomorrow.
And with Brady Tkachuk not signed, I don't know if like when that's going to happen. It could be a Nylander situation where he holds out until he gets the deal that he wants. And if that's the case, I can see Batherson sliding into that net front presence on the power play.
Right.
Being that guy who cleans up and, takes over for what Tkachuk does.
Yeah.
3 shots, 4 hits a game.
He's 6'3", like he's a big guy. You don't often know it, but he's a big body guy. And his shot is great. Like he's got the skills are absolutely there. Like there were times last year he's very inconsistent, but there were times when I'm like, this guy is like a legitimate sniper in this league. But then it disappears.
Well, we saw flashes during the World Juniors and during his junior career. He was a highly rated guy. I believe he was a highly drafted player as well. And, those players often find success. It took him a little bit of time, like most players in Ottawa, because they're timid and scared to actually show out because they know they'll never get paid what they're deserved, which is why Tkachuk is in this situation he uses him right now.
And not to mention he's the 4th member of the Beatles in Nova Scotia. Crosby, McKinnon, Marchand, and Batherson's part of that group too. So that's obviously elite company to keep yourself with in the off season. So I really trust his off season workouts.
Yeah, I knew that would be something that you would harp on as a reason, and honestly,
it's
makes
a good
sense.
reason. Yeah.
He's learning from 3 of the best players in the league, 3 of the best players in our generation, and you love to see it from a young guy who takes that initiative and reaches out to a player of Sid's ilk and being like, teach me your ways. That's what Nate did, and look at him.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we ready to move on to Josh's team before you're done
we haven't
shitting
done
on my
that
team?
yet? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's do it.
Lay it on me.
So let me ask you this. When Brady Tkachuk slides the entire year, what happens?
That's when you bust out the Jameson and you just drink the whole season, because if that happens, my team is kaput.
So good.
Brady Tkachuk is the linchpin of my team.
He literally is.
I was sweating bullets last year because I did not expect him to drop to the 3rd round, and I had kept Vasilevsky in the 2nd. And
the record, I would have taken him like right after you did.
As would any smart player, they would have taken him, because not only does he do what I need him to do, which is get lots of shots and hits, but he produces points as well. And he gets power play points, plus minus, who even cares about that? That's an irrelevant stat, ancient, and he's the linchpin of my team. If he can't play, I just donate $30 to whoever wins.
You could tank and sell some assets and do it that way.
Well, that's the catch with me, is that my team has no assets that other people would want. I drafted for the way that I build my team.
Yo, like literally half of your team is the same as last year. How does
By
that
design.
how does that get you excited? Like, don't you want to mix things up every year? Like,
That's why you play in multiple leagues, folks.
right?
You have one league that you try and win, and then you have one league that you have fun in.
Okay, fair enough.
Can I ask you, because I saw a lot of UC Saros floating around. What is the scouting report on him, and why did you jump on him in the 5th? Like, why was it that player? Why was it that goalie? Because I know you love your goalies. What makes you confident in? I know he had a really great stretch last year, but why this guy?
Honestly, I was not expecting the goalie run that happened leading up to that pick. And looking back, if I had my 4th round pick, I would have been sitting pretty. And I panicked. I bit into the run. I needed to get a goalie before all the ones that I had targeted as potentials were gone. And Nashville always has good defense. I am banking on them to be, except for last year, I'm banking on them to be the same way the Islanders played good defensive hockey. I'm banking on that from Nashville. I believe. I
just don't get it, man. Like that's one of those teams that's just if there's a handful of teams that are just trending in the wrong direction, it's Nashville. And you look at that division and I don't know what you're saying. That's a very good division. Like so who we got? We got Colorado, who can fill the net.
Sometimes.
What do you mean sometimes? Okay. Chicago can fill the net.
Sometimes.
Winnipeg can fill the net.
Yes.
Who else? Like there's
some snakes in the water there.
There's very good teams in that division.
Okay, it's top heavy. Well, we're talking about the Coyotes, the Stars, the Wild, the Blues.
The Wild can light your goalie up. Watch out for the Wild. You play a game in Minneapolis, they'll light you up.
Okay, so the 4 games that they play in Minneapolis, I won't start
don't
them.
bench him. Bench him in Minneapolis.
No,
yes.
Don't bother.
Yes.
Don't buy them.
But when they play in St. Paul, I'll start them.
Oh, yeah, I guess they do play in St. Paul, don't they?
For the record, Mike, I'm not buying into this Rossi hype at all.
Oh, I'm not either, but I'm just saying
their center depth is terrible.
Until Domi gets back.
Domi. Oh boy. So yeah, no, I mean, you know what? A team drafted like this leaves a lot of good players for us in the later rounds.
I didn't get UC Saros when you had let's look at who the goalies who went right after that were.
Oh, don't be a dick.
Cam Talbot, I like more. He won't play as much, but he'll have better numbers. Just because that's of that
but
style.
When Fleury was gone. When you're anchoring your team with the number 1 goalie, you can afford to go for volume and hope that Vasi's 930 averages out with Saros's 910 into a 920.
Mm-hmm.
And 920 is what you're aiming for.
Right. So Jack Campbell went after. I don't like him. Carter Hart went after. I don't like him.
This is what I was dealing with. There wasn't much.
Shesterkin, it was a keep. Knight. Yeah, you're right, Josh. You're absolutely right. A lot of the guys went.
He was the last guy in the tier of goalies that I was looking at as a potential. When Fleury went 2 picks before me,
You panicked.
I panicked. And I honestly, I was thinking either Saros or Ullmark, and I went with Saros because last year Boston's goalies fucked me. I had Halak as well, if you remember. I had Halak and Rask, and they both fucked me.
I think
Come playoff time.
Yeah, between the two, I mean, Saros had such great numbers last year. So.
I would have went with Ullmark. But again, it's like that's like Freddie Anderson argument.
Sure,
like it's a really
sure.
risky play.
Team versus talent.
You never like going with goalies. It's their first year there. What's the workload going to be like? Like it's very hard to judge, right?
Yeah.
Where Saros, at least you know.
Boston was not the defensive team that we thought they would be last year.
They were still very good.
They were very good, but they weren't the team that we knew them to be, where both Halak and Rask were viable starting options at any day. That was not the case last year, especially near the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's another team where the wheels could be coming loose a little bit. Pittsburgh, Washington, Boston.
Yeah.
One of those 3 teams I think is not going to make it. You know, one of those 3 stalwart every year kind of teams. Yeah, but they won the division last year.
And it's an Olympic year. Crosby's got to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Because it's an Olympic year and because they're dealing with injuries to Malkin already, what's the incentive for Crosby to show out for the Penguins? He wants to keep himself healthy so that he can win another gold for Canada.
Well, I don't see it that way. I see like Olympic focused guys just being like having a really great off season and coming in with a new sense of focus.
Who remembers Stamkos? Was playing to be that guy, broke his leg before he could even play.
Yeah, but that's a freak. That's a freak accident.
But one could argue that he was playing beyond himself to make the team. Not saying that Crosby has to do that to make the team because he's already been announced as probably a captain, but you know, there is some consideration when your team is not performing. Do you take that extra stride into the boards to retrieve that puck, or do you is you save yourself for when you can do that in the Olympics.
I just think I see it more so as you're sitting in your off season, and whenever little decisions come up, like should I do this extra rep workout, set training session or whatnot, the thought of the Olympics comes in, and you say yes to every single decision to make.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes for a lot of players. Like this could be Crosby's swan song with Team Canada, and he knows it's a big year because it's basically passing the torch. So he's motivated. He's got to be.
Yeah, but the example you gave was him off the ice training.
Yeah.
On the ice is a different story. He's making a business decision with his history of concussions. Why is he going to put himself in a position?
So Nick shouldn't have drafted him.
No, I think in the second round he's a great draft pick.
Arguable.
He has the name value that any player in our league would trade for him just to have him on the team.
I'd trade Marner for him, yeah.
Knicks. You have a proposal on the table.
Marner for Crosby.
Makes no sense. You can
Marner
add
for
Crosby. Yeah, I'll do
Crosby.
that. Of course.
No,
I'll do
I
that.
don't want to do that.
Okay, yeah. Of course I'll do that.
I don't know what else I can say about
But
Josh's
I've never been a
team.
Crosby owner. I've never been a Crosby, so it's exciting. It
It's-
is very exciting.
Sure.
I've never been a Crosby.
I'll tell you
owner,
what,
but
it's like having money in the bank. You know it's there, you're happy, you know it's just gonna sit there and make you happy, but it's not gonna wow you unless you spend it.
Mhm.
And buying like a Nathan McKinnon is spending money. Having Crosby is money in the bank.
Money in the bank.
And it's not fun, it's not sexy, it's just
I'll see. I will see. I'll watch the Penguins with a little more of a closer eye this year.
they're not great to watch either. Don't bother.
So before we went on air, there was some discussion about the draft, and I was unable to attend the party.
So why is that? Why couldn't you come? What's the big reason?
I'd rather not disclose. I like to keep my personal life close to my chest. I like, my privacy is valuable to me.
Yeah.
But it did come across that at the draft party there might have been some persuasion as to who to pick when it came to near my turn.
There was. So just for background, we had a couple guys over. We had Moopsy over. We had Mike over, who you guys know, and we had the new guy, Bo Bichette.
Ben.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. So a couple guys were over, and we got into chatting about other players in the league, and we're like, this Josh guy, he's got the weirdest strategy. I don't know if you've noticed. And they're like, no, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, he only picks fucking goalies and hitters and shooters. And Moopsy just kind of like looked at me, gave me a nod, and then kind of looked down and went back to his business. And I'm like, this guy's up to something. He's a champion. Like, he can't just be taking this with no grains of salt at all. So he took it in, and every single time, it seemed as if he was out to get you.
Yeah.
And he was making noise about it too. He's like, oh, is this guy still nice? Boom, takes him. And we're like, whoa.
Yeah. So me and Moops, I was the 9th pick, he was the 10th pick, meaning that every time I picked once, he picked twice. And from the 5th round until basically the end of the draft, he took one guy I was eyeing. We can start it off. I mean, I'm not going to get into specifics because I don't want to boost the ego, but let's just say it happened enough times for my team to make some reaches, and it might show up on the scoreboard.
I'm hearing a lot of excuses right now. That's what I'm hearing.
The worst one for me, honestly, Jacob Chikrin.
Oh, you wanted him.
I wanted him bad.
He's a bad player.
He's an awful player,
No, he's a good player on a terrible team.
but he gets a ton of shots and a ton of hits.
And goals.
He
doesn't care.
I mean,
give a shit about the goals.
So last year, I really wanted to test a theory to see whether or not there was a correlation between shots and goals, because my team scored the most or had the most shots, but was not even close to the top in goals. And I wonder why that was. Is like how much of it is volume and how much of it is your shooting touch. Like that's a good study to take into account. And,
Yeah.
I was banking on the fact that I'm going to get a lot of shots. That's going to lead to goals. And clearly, I was mistaken.
Right. Well, I get where you're coming from there, but I guess some guys are just volume guys, like perimeter shooters and whatnot. But
I don't really understand the Jacob Chick. Like, why do people like this?
Well,
guy
Nick,
so
he
much?
led all D in goals last year.
Did he really?
Yes.
That must be like the quietest stat.
Yeah,
in the world.
because he's Arizona.
He had 18.
Like I'm looking,
18 that's a great total.
like I'd much rather have Blake Wheeler than Jacob Chikrin.
That's a 30 goal pace
It's a 30-goal pace.
for
That's
a D-man.
incredible.
Yeah, and totally under the radar. But who does he have to pass to? Well, he didn't have anyone last year to pass to either. So he can make money out of nothing. That guy.
And he leads the power play.
Oh yeah. No, he's a
Maybe
sleepy,
this is a
sleepy
player I
guy.
gotta learn more about. Like he's
He
just
just,
flied
he
under.
just eats ice time too.
Yeah.
They don't have anyone. They got rid of OEL. Like he's their guy.
Yeah. No, it's hey, we'll see how that one pans out for you.
Well,
But-
I didn't get him, so
Oh yeah, right.
For
Fuck.
Moopsy.
For
I think it's going to go really well for him.
You went with Brett Burns, yeah, which is another guy you really always go for.
yeah. But last year I got him much later.
Okay, I want to ask you guys about one guy in particular. This guy absolutely fascinates me, and it pissed me off when he came off the board. And Nick, you're going to be... This is something that I think maybe you should have rethought, but Andrei Svechnikov. A polarizing player because he's such a young guy with a ton of potential, but he didn't do much last year. Mitchie took him right after you
Right
took
after Crosby, yeah.
So Nick, I mean, there you could argue the value of having him on left wing, right wing, with the potential to get 80 to 90 points, and I think Crosby's a good safe 80 points. I don't think he's going to get too much more over that. I could be wrong, but doesn't this guy kind of pique your interest a bit more? Was he on your radar at all?
He was on my radar, but I always when I told you I defined the top of the class of the draft when I was drafting. I had Marchand, Marner, Kane, Zibanejad, and Crosby, and I had those guys in a tier of their own. Nobody else. And so I knew if those three guys went off the board, I'm taking the next two guys, even though they're both center. That was just the way I saw it. And that's
a sexy player, though.
That's the bullet I'm going to take. I don't think he's a sexy player. He's very much a net front guy. I don't really like those guys.
No, he's got this guy. This guy is a guy who can get 90 points and he puts up 2 hits a game.
I don't like number wise, fantasy wise, very much like Josh. He's going to have the hits. He's going to have the points. He's going to have that multi-cat appeal. But I just wanted to go. I don't know. I'm a sucker for faces in this league, and Crosby's the face.
Yeah.
And I saw enough of the Rangers last year to know that Zibanejad can have the worst first half of the season ever. Like it was horrible.
Horrible.
Healthy scratched by he'd get benched by Quinn.
Yes.
And then the guy would just go on a fucking tear, like the
6
hottest player in the
points.
league,
5
like
goals, 8
tear.
points.
Like that guy finished with a great year, despite how brutal that first half of the year was.
Yeah.
So I'm banking on him with Gerard Gallant having a more complete season.
Yeah.
So I just saw Crosby and Zibanejad. I said Crosby Olympic years, Zibanejad. I know the player. I don't watch Carolina a lot. Maybe I will this year because I'm a Freddie Anderson owner, and maybe I'll regret it. In fact, I'll probably predict I will regret it watching more Carolina. I'll probably see this Svechnikov night in and night out.
Yeah.
Right? They're on my game. They're one of my favorite teams on Game Center. I'll be watching a lot of Carolina this year, and we'll
You're
see
an
what
odd
happens.
guy.
No, that's what I do when I own the goalie. I have to watch their games because the whole team in front of them I have to evaluate. Right?
The thing is that like if anyone's ready to pop, it's this guy. It is this player.
We'll see. I just never seen him as the face of Carolina. Aho's the face of Carolina, not Svechnikov.
That's why they offered $20.
Exactly. Yeah.
So no, there's a
He's not as sexy as Aho.
There was
and
a
never
study-
will be.
They didn't offer 37.
there's a study done by because he's not Finnish. There's a study done by I'm not going to name who, but they basically said of players in this size range generally take about 200 NHL games to hit their prime, to hit their mark, to hit their, I'm a star now. He's hitting that this year. And he's got, hey, we've already seen the flashes.
See what happens.
If anyone's ready to pop, this guy's ready to pop.
He's had injury issues.
No, come on. Don't be
We'll see what happens. I'm not sold on him quite yet, and I don't regret my decision making as of right now one bit.
If he fights Ovechkin and beats him this year, will you regret your pick?
No, because fantasy's not about character, unfortunately. Right?
Okay.
Which is why someone drafted Tony D'Angelo.
Yeah.
And Jordan Bennington.
Right. Well, here's the thing, Kyle. You've always been a big advocate of how many captains does your fantasy team have? The way Kyle evaluates teams is he goes, how many captains do you have, Nick? The guys that have the C. Okay, well, let me count. Ryan O'Reilly,
Shut the fuck
Mark Stone, Bo Horvat, Crosby. Four captains. Pretty good.
Oh boy, I've got 2 this year.
Okay, so I have more
But
character.
I made up that rule when I was in the fucking basement of the league. And I'll give you a captain right here. You want to hear a captain? Jack Eichel is a
Right.
captain. Or no longer a captain.
No
Sorry.
longer captain, yeah. 3 captains. Okay.
Jack Eichel goes in the 4th round. Really puzzling to me. Like, I thought for sure I'd be this genius picking him up in the 9th.
You were surprised. You gasped.
Bo
When Ben
Bichette
took him?
is sitting here with
Yeah.
his fucking glasses on. And he's like, Jack Eichel.
Oh, that was a no-doubter. He pressed that power button
I know.
with decisiveness.
Boom. And we're like, ah! The whole room erupted for 3 seconds.
The new guy,
and
Ben.
Then, yeah.
Like I said, you'll get to know him. He's a smart penny.
I don't know how smart that is. I don't know.
How can this be a smart move?
You wasted it. Like you wasted a season with Jack Eichel.
If he gets the surgery literally today, the best he can do is like January playing and playing not at 100%. And then you look at the keeper value. It's 4th round. It's not that great of a keeper value. You know, it's not like moving the needle.
Yeah, you went from taking him in the 2nd to keeping him in the 4th. There is some value to be said, but exactly, is it worth punting this season in order to keep him? And there's nothing to be said about whether the surgery even happens or goes well. I mean, despite the fact that it is a relatively safe surgery, anytime you go under, you run the risk of complications.
There's a reason no one's traded for him yet. It's because everyone's nervous. Buffalo's nervous. They want to prove like it's all a mess. And this is a 4th round. If I'm not mistaken, it was his only 4th rounder. So it's like I'm starting to doubt whether this guy is the genius that you say he is.
I think he'll have a good year. I think this guy is going to be a playoff team. That's my prediction. And there's only so many playoff spots. There's only 6, right? So, but hey, on that subject, let's talk about duds. Any more pick that were duds? I mean, I made the first comment I made was Johnny Gaudreau going 5th round.
Yep.
You should
Yep.
have heard,
That-
heard the room in here, Josh.
Oh my
when
God.
Gaudreau went. Who was that? Joe?
It was Joe.
Oh,
And
my
we'll get
God.
into his whole
Oh
team. That's the
my
team you dissect and you
God.
immediately go, that's the worst team in the league.
Okay,
with
where-
all due respect to Joe.
Yeah. Oh my God. Round 5. Yeah. This is odorous. Absolutely odorous.
I don't know. I'm trying. Like
I
I'm
know
looking.
he's on your.
I'm
do
on like
not
the
draft
the
list.
7th page of my. Like he still hasn't popped up. Like I don't know where this guy is.
So Joe is a guy who likes one team a lot, and then the rest of it is very surface knowledge.
The rest of his knowledge comes from playing NHL 07.
Yeah. No. This is a stinker, man, and everyone knew it at the time.
And like, do you really believe that guy's gonna have a good year under like Daryl Sutter?
No.
Like the two just are polar opposite personalities. He's gonna get benched every 3rd game, and it's just gonna be drama and calamity there in Calgary. You know?
Yeah.
It's not an awful team. I don't think
It's
it's
not,
awful.
but he doesn't fit the mold of that coach, and he's gonna get a lot of. He's just gonna get a lot of shit. You know?
I think this team has potential. There's a lot of dart throws at the board, particularly in the later rounds. I don't know how Tarasenko is going to fare or if he's even worth rostering. Michael Bunting had a great preseason. He might win Calder. Probably not. And then you took Connor Brown. So there's that strong Leafs connection.
I don't know.
And
Like-
you know, if you're gonna take the Leafs, you got to at least go with some more studs than just Matthews and Tavares.
Jason Robertson in the 7th round. Like I know he was almost rookie of the year last year, but that's still too high. You know?
It is high, especially like why would you want to roll the dice on a Robertson when
I
you
took
can
I
get
took
O'Reilly
Jeff
as a
Petrie.
safe?
I took Jeff Petrie just before him.
Like
and that's a top 2 defenseman.
The best Robertson can do is the floor of O'Reilly, probably, right? Would you not agree with that?
Exactly.
My
Or Wheeler,
hypothesis
like
is
Blake
that
Wheeler. I
he meant to
want Blake
get
Wheeler.
Nick Robertson, but he was
Or Nylander. Like,
No, like whoa. Jason Robertson is basically Philip Forsberg light. Why don't you just
Yeah.
get Philip Forsberg?
yeah.
Like, what is going on?
No,
here?
he's a keeper. Forsberg's a keeper.
Oh, sorry.
But I'm just saying, like, Wheeler and Nylander are
Yeah.
more established,
Yes.
more consistent players than Jason Robertson.
Even I hate to keep pumping Kevin Fiala, but Kevin Fiala is a much more attractive player than Jason Robertson.
Yeah.
Unless we're like missing out on some unlocked potential
Yeah.
that we are just being ignorant to.
Caulfield, 10th round. Was that about where he's going? Cole?
Yeah.
right after Suzuki, so that's
So-
about where he's going.
To be honest, I think that's an okay pick, but I just the fact that Joe made that pick, it's just an eye roller, you know.
Braden Shen, round 11. Braden Shen's
No,
he's arguably a waiver player.
Can we go back to that Cole pick? Because I think that was Joe's attempt at value,
Right.
and I think it could pan out where in the 10th round you're keeping a guy who has potential to score a lot of goals. Granted, at a very diminutive size. I don't know if they count the same. It might be 0.75 of a goal, just because he's 0.75 of a person.
Yeah.
But if that's what you're playing for, and it's the future, like he's alluded to in the chat, that he might not think he has the strongest chance this year, then yeah, I like the pick in the 10th round. It provides potential, and who knows?
I do really like his goalies, though. He did get Cam Talbot, who I tried to trade for that very night. I tried to give him a Binnington for Talbot with a Sweetener. I will say that on the record. And then I did like very late. He got Jacob Markstrom in the 13th round. That's a very good. That's a very good value.
How the hell did he do that?
That's very good value for a guy.
Man, how did
that guy's
Markstrom over Saros?
that guy's. Yeah, I would too. Honestly, yeah. Let's get into this. Yes, Markstrom's gonna have a better year than Saros.
So the year that Saros had last year, we're just gonna forget 927.
I'm just saying,
on one of
like,
the worst teams in the league.
He's gonna have a better splits than Saros, and he's gonna arguably start more.
I'll put money on that.
Okay.
How much are we talking?
I think he'll have maybe like the start. Who's back up in Nashville?
Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Well, who cares in Calgary? Who cares in Calgary, right?
We're talking about the starters, so I don't care either.
No, I'm just saying. Like, it's a good debate. I think who's better. I might bet. Yeah.
The thing is, they're close and they're yet rounds worlds apart.
Well, what's the bet? Are we talking save percentage, goals against?
I know. I'm trying to decide. Like,
Because I think wins is more of a team effort rather than.
well, yeah. Like Kyle says, why don't we just base it on their Yahoo ranking at the end of the year?
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. What do you want to bet?
Want to? Yeah, let's do a case of beer.
A case of beer.
Case of Sam Adams.
A case of Sam Adams.
Yeah.
A 2-4 of Sam Adams.
Some bottles.
That's no, they don't do bottles, unfortunately.
They don't do bottles anymore?
They don't do bottles anymore. At least not here in the north.
24 tall.
I don't know. That's like that's $60.
Okay, small cans.
No, like they don't do small cans. Like I'll bet you like a 6-pack of Sam Adams.
Whatever.
Okay.
Just to point out right now, Saros is ranked. Their projected rank is 41st,
Yeah.
and I'm still scrolling to find.
Yeah, exactly.
Markstrom is 248.
It blows me away, the Saros thing. Like in my rank in the athletics rankings I used, he's goalie 5.
Wow.
Like what the fuck is that?
On Yahoo, he's goalie 5.
What happened last year?
Want me to read the stats?
Yes.
2.28 goals against average. 927 save percentage.
Tell me how many games I played.
I don't have that information in front of me.
Yeah. I know, like I'll pull it up. This laptop's slow as fuck.
Oh, come on.
But it's better than none, but
That's. I'm wondering if he came in, got hot, and posted a great split for the year, and then just that's it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, like let me pull it up on my phone.
He's such dicks.
I just goalie 5 just seems ridiculous to me.
He finished as the goalie 6 last year, only winning 21 games. For reference, The goalie number 1, Grabner, 130. Grubauer.
That's my goalie. So he won 21 games.
Last year he only won 21 games, and he was still goalie number 6.
Saros won 21 games.
Then I think that was all the games that Nashville won.
He couldn't have. I mean, he started 21.
No, he won 21 games last year.
That's impossible.
Last year he played 33 games. He went 21, 11, and 1 with a 2.28 and a 9.27.
Given that team's so shit, that's pretty good.
That's amazing.
But yeah, I don't know.
We never even heard of that.
I still.
You can deliver that case of beer whenever you want.
No, I'll still make this bet because I still think Calgary. I like that defensive-minded coach. I like the easier division, and I like the higher. I think I don't know who's the backup. Let's see here, David Riddick. So that's a very,
He's back in Calgary?
no. He's in Nashville.
Oh.
So that's a very capable backup. That's a guy who you
Yeah.
can throw out there for a game.
Well,
Guess who the backup in Calgary is?
Comfortable throwing out David Riddick?
I'm more comfortable than the backup in Calgary.
depends if you want to tank.
Who's the backup in Calgary?
Dan Vladar.
Oh, yeah.
So I
sucks.
think there's a bit of a gap between Riddick and Vladar, and then you tack in the easier division, the defensive coach, 90% of the starts. Jacob Markstrom's going to be a great pick for Joe at 13, and I think he's going to have a better year than
For
Saros.
13, it's a no-brainer. It's a great pick.
I think the notion of this being an easier division is misguided. It's top heavy, and there's a lot of scoring in that division.
I no like a middle team in that division is considered Chicago, and they can light you up. Whereas a middle team in the Pacific is LA, and they don't scare me yet.
That's the bottom team.
No, a bottom team in the Pacific is San Jose and Anaheim.
But that's what I'm saying. There's a chasm. I would say Team 4 is the equivalent of Team 7 in that division, which is why it's top heavy. You have those teams that are going to score and put it up. And let's remind ourselves, this isn't the same schedule that it was last year. They're going to be playing every team. So, yes, the division might be a little bit tougher in Central, but at the end of the day, they have to play every team.
Yep, you're playing the teams in your division a little more. I'm just saying, Jets,
A little more,
Jets are a playoff contender. The Blues are a playoff contender. Dallas is a playoff contender. Chicago's a playoff contender. The Wild are a playoff contender.
Kind of because that division is so mediocre.
No, I just look at the team. No, but they look like a playoff team. Those teams I just uttered. Whereas those teams in the Pacific, there's only 3 of them I could say are bona fide playoff teams.
Yeah, but you only need three playoff teams from each division anyways.
I know, but you're playing higher quality teams.
But you can have a maximum of 5
right
from one division.
Yeah.
Did we tell you that we're going to Sens games?
That's a disgusting problem. Sens Leafs games? Sens
No.
Cavs games?
No, Sens Rangers and Sens Colorado.
as he scratches his head.
Why? Why? It's cheaper.
You're going to drive all the way to Canada.
Yeah.
The gas money you just spent is the equivalent of getting Leafs tickets.
Is it?
The price of gas is only going up.
Oh, is he right? No, the Leaf tickets are still exorbitant. They're still exorbitant. You're splitting it among 3 people.
And we're second row.
Second row.
We're on the
baby.
glass. We can touch the glass.
Touch
Is
the
Melnick
glass.
giving you a personal handy as well?
No, McGuire's.
McGuire.
Okay, before we get too sidetracked,
I have
that's
another-
it for Joe. I don't want to chirp the guy anymore.
Yeah, he kind of redeemed himself
Yeah.
at the end. I have a good. I'm just seeing it right here in round 11. I'm seeing Thomas Chabot in round 11. I like that pick for Simp for McDaddy. Who is that again?
Christian.
Christian's
good pick.
rad team.
Yeah.
So I mean, Ottawa. I know we were just on the topic. Ottawa really kind of piques my interest big time. I know they said the rebuild is done there, and I really love the pieces that I'm seeing. And this guy is just going to be head manning the whole thing. He's going to be the puck mover from the back end, top power play. He already put up a .63 point per game last year, 2.45 shots per game, nothing to sneeze at. I just think this is a really good A2 defenseman. in the 11th round. Like it's great value there.
Looking at this sim for McDaddy's team, and it's a tale of two cities, and not the twin cities that the Wild play in. We're talking about some great draft picks. Keeping McDavid obviously is a no-brainer. The Chabot pick you just mentioned, and then you have some head scratchers.
Pull them.
Mackenzie Weegar in the 9th, Carter Hart in the 7th, Anjay Kopitar in the 6th.
Ooh, that's early for him. Well,
after having no picks since the 3rd, I don't know how you go with
Yeah.
another center. I think you need to load up on a scarce position like defense or goalie there.
yeah, I mean,
And then riding a tandem of Carter Hart, Jeremy Swayman, and Jake Odinger
oh my God.
could be
Simp.
the worst
That's awful.
goalie trio in the league.
So Carter Hart, for reference, was single-handedly sunk my playoff dreams last year. Completely sunk me. It was a horrible situation. And in the 7th round to get Carter Hart, you are betting on the farm that this guy turns it around. Like he was like an 865. Like you can't come all the way back from hell and get into the gates of heaven. Yeah.
Yeah, like it like that is the one thing I know is looking at his team. It's hands down the worst goalies in the league, and yeah, that
What a
might
simp.
sink him. That when 4 of the categories, we've talked about this enough. When 4 of the categories are goalies, it might sink him. And like the goalies, like Swayman's, he's not even the starter in Boston. Allmark clearly is. He's getting the money that he's a starter. Dallas is one of the most peculiar teams in the league because they have 4 goalies they could run out any night, right? Yeah, when he does, if he does come back, that's 4 goalies: Ottinger, Bishop, Khudobin, and Holtby now.
And I think it's assumed that Bishop would challenge for the starting position. You don't keep him
Give him the mic.
roster. Sorry. You don't keep him on the roster.
Yeah,
In travel with him without the intent of him playing again one day.
yeah, and then Carter Hart. I mean, you have to deal with the drama that Kyle just said is Carter Hart. So this is the guy. If you have a goalie to shop, you approach Christian and you see if you can pry one of those stars off his team.
His team is top heavy. Like there are some players that would interest any team, even mine.
For sure.
Okay. So yeah, here's the thing. I don't even know what you guys were talking about, but I'm reading into your Prince Igor, your Bo Bichette, this new guy.
Mm-hmm.
He has really made his money late in the draft because I'm just looking through these late rounds and he's nailing pick after pick.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just like the first couple rounds didn't impress me, but the later rounds I'm attracted to this.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor Hall in the 12th, and then you have. Well, the Tony D'Angelo thing is up in the air. I think that's a
good pick. Say what you want about the character. That's not what we're evaluating here. I think I've seen that guy run a power play. I've seen him move the puck in New York, and the guy's legit.
What's your opinion on the Capo pick? Because that's an 18-term pick.
Yep. No, I like it. I do. I mean, Capo had a horrible rookie year. The second year he had really great defensive numbers, but his point totals didn't change. He's going to get plum minutes. He's looking a lot better in camp. I've followed Rangers really, really closely. He looks good. He looks good in camp. So I could see him getting. But then again,
Ryan Strome's a duster.
No, Nick. Like, look at who else went in that round with Strome. Like, Strome is a 70-point player.
What?
Who else is going to... No, he was.
He was on pace for 70 points?
Yeah.
Fuck.
I think my favorite thing about this Prince Igor team is the positional diversity. Kyle, he was not close to 70 points.
He was. Pace.
He had...
Strome, not Dylan.
The way that
Yeah,
the way the fan base chirped him, like the way he was a punching bag there in New York, I just find that very hard to believe. Like by all accounts, Ryan Strome had a poor season last year. That's what I thought.
49 points in 60 games. That's like a 65-point pace.
I'm going to find this out. You're wrong. You're very wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
I'm looking at his team.
72-point pace, fellas. Come on, man. 49 points in 56 games. That's .88 points per game. The year before, his 69-point pace. He's legit.
Kyle, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. No, I know what you're saying, but I don't like Prince Igor's team. I mean, his
late round.
two of his three goalies, one's 14%. Like,
I didn't look at his goalies. I just looked at his late round picks.
this guy's goalies are shit. Chris Drieger and Elvis Merzlikins
Then you,
are
hey,
two of his three goalies.
You are the guy who said he was some sort of mastermind. I'm trying to see what you're talking
well,
about.
he'll be active on the wire. He'll pull things together here. I'm confident.
So he had a shit draft.
I'm not over. I don't think he's one of the better teams here.
All right, good.
I'm not convinced.
Good.
Not everyone can compete every year.
That's right.
That's the beauty of the keeper leagues. Sometimes you sell the farm to win it all, and sometimes you buy the farm to win next year.
Yeah.
I really hope you make the playoffs, Josh.
I hope you make the playoffs. You're in a rut.
No, I'm not. No, to be fair, I am because everyone this is a platinum league and I'm a gold member, which sucks.
It's a platinum. Oh boy.
No, technically, if you look at
Yeah.
I'm a gold member.
My goal every year is to make the playoffs because, based on the way that I play,
Experience, right?
winning 6 out of 10 categories every week does not earn you a high enough percentage to secure
Right.
playoff spots guaranteed.
Yeah. No bye.
But once I'm in there,
Yeah.
I'm not the team that you want to play.
Yeah.
And
No, I agree. You want to avoid Josh like the plague in a playoff.
if we didn't count the categories and it was just series wins,
Yeah.
I would go undefeated.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Grizzle chick.
Okay, yeah. Hey, I got him with my last pick. I was happy with that.
Yeah.
Josh will tell you how good he is. Remember that one
Josh.
night he put up 10 shots and you're like, who the fuck is this grizzle chick? Yeah, just a random. He's like, you're going to beat me in shots this week just because of this fucking grizzle chick had one good night.
Fucking Christ.
Okay, is that it, Kyle? I'm about tired here. Anyone else to Europe?
Vince. No, that's a good pick.
Can we talk about the vaccinated players?
Can I just
Or
say,
unvaxxed players?
every pick that Josh made is a head scratcher.
I'll take it. It was the same last year until I made it to the finals, and then you guys finally understood what I was doing. And half the league didn't until you brought it up.
Right.
But I picked up Tyler Bertuzzi off the waiver wire.
Such a bad move.
See,
Such
He
a
won't-
bad move.
because this is virtual, he won't give my team COVID, but he'll give every other team COVID. that he plays
Okay,
against.
don't be ridiculous.
So, I don't know. Last year he was a good player. He's the top player on Detroit, and right now Detroit only had, before I picked him up, Detroit only had one rostered player, Dylan Larkin, only player on Detroit that was rostered.
What?
Legitimately the only player,
What are you talking about? Really?
or the only forward.
Wow.
Maybe
That's
not-
shocking.
Anyways, I think that Bertuzzi brings an element to the game outside of his personal decisions that might affect it. What do you guys think about the pickup?
I thought it was a head scratcher big time. I don't know why you just didn't get Drake Batherson. Or Jordan Stahl would be a safer pick for you. You know?
He's on the watch list.
Yeah. You're because he's not going to play in Canada, and you have to figure something out.
He'll miss 7 games this year.
Could be an important.
I didn't really care for the Bertuzzi pick either. It was a crazy day on the wire today. I think it's almost 20 pickups today, as you'd expect the first day you can do that.
I would have thought you would have.
When we have the IR plus and the NAs,
Yeah.
and all these extra spots.
Yeah,
we just toss
yeah.
people.
There's regrets. So the ones that I regret, the ones I look at and I'm like, I should have had them. So Tuukka Rask, I would have liked to stash on
Yeah,
my.
I saw that.
I would have liked to just stash him all year, and then in the playoffs he'll get his starts and he'll probably be okay.
Yeah.
I would have liked to pick up. I told Kyle this. Hoffman. I just think someone's poised to score on that power play in Montreal. It's got to be better, and I just see that guy feasting there.
What makes you think that they're going to be better?
The power play.
Well, because they
It
got
can't
a
be any
power play.
worse.
They got a power play specialist, and Hoffman's a power play
Man,
specialist.
I watched
and
enough.
as is Dvorak.
I watched enough St. Louis last year to know that guy is just.
You're banking on Dvorak to run your power play. You couldn't even do it in London.
Dvorak has a power play specialist. There's nothing.
I
you
don't
can
know
say
about that, but I
He
think
is,
I think
he is.
Hoffman
He is,
is.
and he's
Hoffman's proven
He's
he.
a net front presence in London, Ontario with Mitch Martin.
because that's what he does best, and he's doing it right now.
Power play specialist. That's Zach Hyman.
We all need a bit of that.
That's Patrick Hornquist.
Everyone needs a tip artist. You need a junk driver. You lost Corey Perry. You need someone to clean up the junk, and he's been outstanding in preseason. By the way, outstanding.
Yeah, those were the only two that really made me.
I'm gonna pick up Dvorak right now.
Those are the only two that made me jealous, and Dubois is the one where I'm like, maybe he can have a really good year.
Yeah, I would have thought you would have picked up Tanev and Dubois.
Yeah. And
But
and
you
then
didn't,
and then
and that's
and then
fine, and-
two of my three I think are just really slick. Like I think Tanev and Gord are just two really slick pickups that people are gonna regret. People are gonna regret. They're gonna. I think those are gonna age well.
Another one of my strategies that I don't know if I even want to say, but I've already started, so now I have to, is I put very little value into the center position because of how deep it is. And if you look through my draft, I don't think I took a center until I guess Marchessault's a center / wing, but I didn't draft a center until very late because of how deep the position is.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, I'd rather have positional players or positional flexibility with left wing, right wing, center, right wing, center, etc. instead of just taking a straight center. I don't think there's a single center that's only a center on my team. It's all about having that flexibility because you never know when you're going to have to slide someone into a spot that you weren't expecting them to. Which is why I never took any of the guys you mentioned on the wire.
You would have liked Tanev.
Only for the eyes. I like how it's carried over to the USHL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a bone. Like last thing, I got a bone to pick with you as a commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
What is with all this junk? Like, pay $7 a month, and I'll tell you who to trade for. Garbage.
That's him trying to swindle you.
What is this crap?
What are you talking about?
Like Yahoo Fantasy is telling me, hey, here's some ad drop suggestions, and if you pay us this much money, we'll tell us who your best dance partner is.
That's not my fault.
It is your fault. You have to disable this shit.
These advertisements?
I don't want Mitch paying $8 a month and
but
figuring shit out.
Do you actually believe in this software they're using? This
I don't know.
program
It
they're
takes
using?
a lot of legwork out.
No, I come on. This ad drop thing.
No, Kyle, I think you should invest. I think you should invest in this. Let me know how it goes.
I don't think it's good for the league. You need to disable this immediately.
There's a reason why no one uses the Yahoo rankings when we draft, and there's a reason why no one pays $7 a month.
Yeah.
The Yahoo ad drop.
Yeah, Josh is absolutely right. I think you're reading way too much into this.
You get a poor draft score when you get a Yahoo
Yeah.
draft because it means that it was against their rankings, and that means you did a good job.
Right. Fine. If someone buys this service, I want to know about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I hope there's a way of finding. Maybe there's a logo that creeps over their name if they're a subscriber. You
Like
know?
a blue check mark.
Yeah, exactly.
You get to go to platinum.
Joe's gonna be a subscriber. He's got no choice now with this team he's drafted.
Kyle, that's how you get platinum on Yahoo. You have to pay for it.
You gotta pay for it. Exactly. Okay. Well, on that note, we're running to an hour and a half. So,
That's too
any last words?
Goodbye. No, I just want to say thank you guys for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on the pod and to, disseminate my knowledge to your loyal viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully not too many of the league mates are listening because I did give some juicy tidbits. Yeah. And if you do win, I want to cut.
Right. And I will say we're friends now, but a week from now I'm playing you first week, so we'll see how that goes. Hey, bear in mind, usually the first week it's like 2 weeks sometimes because it's a short week. Not this year. It's just 6 days. So it's like a sprint.
Also, the finals last year was only a 6-day week.
What's it this year?
I don't know.
7? Oh,
but they added an extra game at the end and they didn't count it in the playoffs and I would have won.
Right.
So
again, I don't have control over that. That's just Yahoo. But
don't let Yahoo be the scapegoat.
Okay. Well, yeah. On that note, this ends our 3 preview shows. We kind of did a recap show. We did a preview show, and then we did this fantasy episode. So next week the games start. Kyle, do you know what the first game of the regular season is?
Pittsburgh, Philly. I don't know. Vancouver.
Why would Vancouver be the first?
Seattle.
No.
Okay, isn't that a good guess?
No.
Okay, who is it then?
Tampa,
Oh,
Pittsburgh.
Fuck off.
That's such a lame like opening matchup. I'm not watching that.
The two dynasties. The two dynasties.
Finals versus the syndicate.
I don't know. He's
It's
not
the
even
two
playing. He's not
dynasties
even
of
going to
the
play
last-
the first
That's
game.
true. It's ruined.
Like, why is that the first game?
No, I get it. It's like this team just went back to back. Pittsburgh
Yeah.
went back to back.
And then the big double header, I assume this will be on ESPN, is Seattle and Vegas. That one I will watch. Just to
I would have
see-
thought they would have started Seattle
in
versus
Vancouver. Yeah, but you need there's no the people down south don't care about Vancouver, right? ESPN, you can't have Vancouver on opening night.
No,
It's got to
no.
be Vegas.
They would be pissed.
Yeah. So that's the mediocre opening night of the NHL. So not too exciting, but then the fun starts on Wednesday when you get the Leafs and Habs, as tradition dictates. So, yeah. And then with that said, just breaking news, just to get it out there.
Oh my God.
Quentin Byfield fractured
Nice.
ankle.
Oh.
So
I saw he got injured. I didn't
I'm
know it
not
was
sure how
that.
long. I don't see a timeline here, but that's obviously not good.
sucks.
Not
That
good
sucks.
for young Quentin.
No. Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
We're
on that sad note,
We're screwed.
we're screwed
We are.
because he's screwed.
Yeah, I like that guy.
I like him too, but
LA's not.
tough
gonna
start. Yeah, tough start to his
make it.
career.
Gabe
here.
Velarde, step right up.
Right. Yeah. We'll see.
What are you fucking laughing at?
Okay. Well, on that note, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the fantasy special. We hope people in our league didn't take our comments too harshly.
No.
And yeah, it's all fun and games. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. So we will talk on the other side once the regular season starts. And we look forward to you guys tuning in then. So until then, take care. It's been a pleasure to serve you. Goodbye.